How's it going, everyone? Nate Rathman here from Spiritual Stewardship. Glad you guys could join me. So today, um, I've been kind of guided by spirit. I said in my last video that I've been doing a lot of muscle testing and actually being in what I feel like is being in communication with spirit and actually getting some feedback. And when I was doing my muscle testing and trying to figure out what topic and what things I wanted to talk about, one of the things that kept coming to the surface was this idea of knowing. Um, and what I think Spirit wanted me to talk about in this idea of knowing was the reassurance that you're on the right path. And not just the reassurance that you're on the right path, because I've heard that before, and sometimes that can feel a little dismissive or not entirely helpful. Like, oh, don't worry about it. You're on the right path. Everything happens in divine time. I think that those things are true, but sometimes they can be said in a way where it can be kind of flip and a little callous. Excuse me. And I think if you don't actually have a feeling or a knowing, which is what we're talking about today, that you are connected to spirit and you are on a right path, that phrase, like everything happens in divine time or trust the universe, those can feel really frustrating. So I'm not here to try to add to that soundbite or that like frustration of just the kind of flip, oh, everything happens for a reason kind of thing. I will caveat that and say I do believe that everything happens for a reason. But I have like a lot of, you know, I have a lot of internal structures. I have a belief system that anchors in that phrase. So when I say something like that, it's filtered through my worldview and how I think the universe works. And it lands with me in a way that is reassuring, not feeling dismissive or feeling like um, emotional bypassing or something. It actually comes in and I can have something weird happen and be like, there was something in that for me to figure out. And if I dig around a little, I'm going to find some kind of nugget or gem in there that is, relevant to what's going on for me right now in life. So I'm going to come back to knowing. When Spirit was having me talk about knowing, I think one of the things that's important about that is that the knowing is a feeling, and the feeling is reassurance. That's like the one of the words that kept coming up, and like divine timing was all being held. So I was having this idea around it where I'm like, yeah, like thinking about the idea of FOMO and like fear of missing out, and this idea of scarcity of time. Um, and you only have a scarcity around time or a fear of missing out if you don't have a knowing that everything's working out for you, or if you don't trust in divine timing, or if you don't trust in the universe. And I know this stuff can be confusing, and I don't want to be talking in a circular manner, but I just think that there's something there to be explored, which is that when you can actually feel like it's not that you have to do anything to have knowing, and it's not like you have to do anything to like move into awakening or enlightenment. One of the things that's been coming through with this guidance is that everything that I want, all the feelings, all of the stuff that I've been like trying to get or working towards is there, right in that moment. Like everything is present with you. And I guess what I'm getting at is when I have the knowing, because I'm like muscle testing, and the muscle testing has like led me to very strong like confirmations of certain things. Like I've actually predicted things that have happened. I did one day where I did a whole thing and I muscle tested my way through the day, and I ended up going to a strange town where I had a like fantastic conversation with someone I had no idea who they were. I found like a piece of paper on the ground that had a message for me on it. So there's like these things that I've done that have like confirmed the knowing. And then so when I'm muscle testing and I'm talking to the universe and I'm getting like an intuitive hit that like everything you want is right there. There's no searching outside of yourself. There's no doing the work. It's the reassurance that it's there. It's the knowing that it's there that is actually the key to unlocking it all. Now, I had heard that before I had a connection to spirit, and I actually didn't think it was that helpful. So I think what's important is to figure out a way for yourself to feel secure and valid and really held by spirit and your connection to it. And then once you feel safe in that, once you feel like that's secure, like you're like, man, this is bedrock. I know this. Then I think bringing in that feeling of reassuring and like, it's almost like these mental, these like logic steps we take. So it's like, if I think that that is true, then what else will follow to be true as well? And sometimes I think that some of the like law of attraction stuff we do, or tools or techniques like visualization or vision boarding, I don't think any of that stuff is wrong. And again, I'll talk a little bit about Bashar. One of the things that Bashar has said about those kind of things, and even Abraham has said this to Abraham Hicks, is that those things in and of themselves aren't getting you to the stuff you want, to the manifestation or the goal or whatever. Those tools are there to bring about what I was talking about, that feeling of knowing, that feeling of reassurance, that feeling of like security that the universe wants to work with you. It wants to deliver things to you on your behalf. And I think what can feel a little complicated is moving yourself into the place of feeling secure enough with your connection to the universe that you can kind of like give away some of those fears and really step into belief, into faith, into knowing that's like, even though I've wanted these things for a long time and they're out there. They're out there in the world. They're like, you're pulling them in, your vortex, whatever it is. Even though I'm in that tension of wanting and hoping that it's out there, there's a really big difference between settling into knowing. And then the other thing that I think comes in with this, and it was in one of my other videos around surrendering, is that you really have to move into surrendering and allowing. So it's this dance that happens between knowing and then surrendering control and allowing things to flow in. It feels to me like those concepts are really, really important to get dialed in and to be on your highest path, and for life to start unfolding in a much easier and seamless way. I mean, I have not been communicating with spirit for very long. As I've said, I've been on a spiritual journey for a very long time. I feel like I've been awakened, whatever that means, for many years now, but I haven't moved into a place of realization or knowing until very recent. And I'm not saying I'm there all the time. I'm not a guru or a master. I'm just saying there is a tangible or quantifiable difference in my energy, in my field, in my essence, when I sit in knowing and I surrender the details to the universe and I allow it to unfold for me. It's like crazy. And I have days like I had a couple of days ago where I just like gave the whole thing to the universe and was pleasantly surprised, like literally giggling outside my car in a town I've never been to really, and like been like, what the hell is happening? I'm finding messages on the ground and muscle testing my way, which is also kind of a weird thing to do in public. I'm like, should I go left or right, spirit? Like, left. Okay, I'm going left. But that's also a little bit of the surrender, right? It's like find the thing that's going to connect you to spirit, trust then that you have that connection, and then allow and see what happens, and just know that spirit wants to be in communication with you. I definitely believe that. Like, one of the things that I get very strongly when I do communicate with spirit is I'm like, am I asking you too much? Am I bugging you? Is this annoying you? And it's like, no, ask more, connect more. They want, spirit wants essence, wants your higher self, probably that's what it is wanting to co-create with you. That's the dance. That's why we came here, is to have this like union between 3D earthly fractal of your soul and bigger ethereal other part of your soul coming together on earth and mixing it up and having these like creative and beautiful moments. Like, to me, that is life. That's why we are here, and all the lessons and fun things that come because of that. And a big part of that is just sitting in the knowing. Like, okay, I know this to be true. And now that I'm saying, I do like this idea of like knowing, surrendering to the universe, and allowing the universe to surprise you and to show up for you and to let whatever come into your life is what it wants to happen. And when you change the way that you move into that with the knowing, when you're sitting with the secure, like, I got your back feeling, like I'm not missing out, timing isn't a problem, it's all good, then the surrender and the allowing portion of that equation become actually fun. It's like, whoa, this is really enjoyable, because I mean, you don't want everything scripted out. We have an idea. Like, it's kind of like the thing with vision boards and things like that. They're great. But also, like, as many people have said, the universe has something in store for you that's probably more freaking magnificent than you could ever imagine. But you have to surrender to that, and you have to allow it to show up in your life. Yeah. I mean, thank you for coming today and listening to me. I felt like it was a little bit rambly, but hopefully in there, you found some thread that you could hold on to. And I'm going to explore this further, but I think the knowing is the key. And I guess another way of saying that knowing is the key is believing is the key, or having faith is the key. Trust. It's really about trust. Like, if you believe in these spiritual principles and you think the universe has your back, start really living it. That's what I would suggest. And do an experiment for a day and just see what happens. You might be very pleasantly surprised. Okay. If you'd like to connect with me, check out my